On, family and friends? We're going to jump into another fun article, and I've been having a lot of people ask me to do more or do videos, which I will be doing coming down the pipe pretty soon. I just have some articles that I reviewed or have not reviewed and want to bring it to your attention first. And so before we get into this marketing conversation, it's another daily insight. I want to shout out, if you can see my sweater here, I want to shout out East Nashville Magnet Middle School. And I want to especially shout out then Principal Principal Bruce Jackson. I had the opportunity to serve as a principal for a day through Metro Nashville Public Schools as well as Pencil, and I did leave that experience on my sales and marketing consulting YouTube channel, Hilton Lead Marketing Agency. Um, and the title is called "Now Education Can Be a Part of." Now you can be a part of the education system, and in so many words, I spent the day as a principal, and this was the last part of the day where we met at Lipscomb University. All of the administration, those that volunteered to be a principal, the community and business partners, elected officials, and we discussed, um, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, if you will, of just the school system and doing it in a way where it was engaging. So go ahead and click that when you can. I want to shout out my friend, Principal Bruce Jackson. He's now the principal at McGavick High School in Nashville. Very, very, very sharp, professional, young mover and shaker. And I learned so much from him just as far as his leadership, young professional, and just really leading a school of sharp educators, sharp, skilled professionals from the maintenance staff, the cafeteria, um, and everybody just putting in work, everyone doing a great job. But just see young professional and having the respect and influence that he did for the day was very inspiring. And I want to shout out no right, wrong, or indifference, but International Baccalaureate. I believe is how you pronounce it, International Baccalaureate. That's the curriculum that at the time East Nashville Magnet Middle School was using to educate the students, and they were surpassing with flying colors. And I'm standing in agreement on my friend, Principal Bruce Jackson, and his well-being and success, as well as his family and loved ones. And so, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into this article. It's another daily insight, and we're talking about, in this case, marketing overall, and something that's near and dear to my heart, community engagement. If you know my work, I've been able to represent and serve as an ambassador for some really great education and employment brands, as a community engagement specialist and an ambassador, a director, and then I eventually started my own sales and marketing consulting firm, where I provided community engagement outsourcing to real estate developers who need more community engagement and buy-in for the development projects coming in, for more employers and career training organizations that wanted to connect with local residents to apply for more jobs, or to apply for their available jobs, or to apply for career training opportunities, and then ultimately larger corporations, mid to larger corporations that wanted to do a better job of just having a footprint and just having more buy-in and engagement with the community. And those were things that I've had a chance to do, and that work spilled into government relations. And here I am today, serving as an advisor to business, government, community leaders. And so make sure you check out my website, ldhadvising.com. If you ever want to schedule a free 20-minute, one time only free 20-minute private advising session where I can talk about where you are, or listen to where you are and find out where you want to be, and give you my 2 cents on how I can help you increase your customer base and your community presence um, through lead generation, brand awareness, and cross promotion opportunities at the minimum. So let's just go ahead and jump into this article. And if you have any questions and or concerns, or want to add to the article, please leave in the comments. Here we go. I want to shout out sustainable brands. Again, these are just things that come across my way. And instead of me just taking it, absorbing it, and doing what I do best, decide to share the information that comes my way, conversations, things of that nature, to just share with you all so we can grow together. So with that being said, make sure you check out my podcast. insight into insight, all things societal. That's also on my website. If you go to my website, there's a page there for podcasts. Check it out, and we get into this is the stuff that we're reviewing. We actually connect with leaders and talk about it in more detail. So I want to shout out sustainablebrands.com, and I want to shout out Jennifer Kongs for writing this article about writing this article. So here we go. Corporate community engagement, 5 essential considerations. And I just really wanted to check this article out because I wanted to see if there's something that I can take from this, or see if there's something that can stimulate my mind and help me grow at the minimum at the end of the day. Back in the early days of corporate philanthropy, companies typically selected causes to support based on personal interest of the chairman or the chairman's wife. I can see that. With little or no regard to issues of strategy, relevance, or impact. Fortunately, things have moved on, with many companies now adopting more innovative, imaginative, and considered approaches to their company's community involvement activities, such that in many cases, they can no longer be understood as purely philanthropic. I don't know why I can't get that word out. Philanthropic. Doesn't sound right, but I know that's the word. Moving on. Back in the early days of corporate philanthropy, companies typically selected causes to support based on the personal interest. I don't know why it's here again, but we'll read it again. Interest of the chairman or the chairman's wife, with little regard or no regard to issues of strategy, relevance, or impact. Fortunate things have moved on, with many companies now adopting more innovative, imaginative, and considered approaches to their company's community involvement activities, such that in many cases they can no longer be understood as purely philanthropic. And I think the life just wanted to throw that word back in front of me so I could say it again so everyone can laugh at me, but that's okay. I'm laughing at myself. Here we go. Just as there are numerous reasons why companies support charities or community organizations, from a moral imperative to give back to the community, to reasons of staff motivation or the desire to address a relevant social issue. So there are multiple ways in which companies choose to engage. What they tend to have in common is an increasing move towards strategic alignment and an ambition for the company itself to derive a benefit as well as the charity partner. And just to kind of give a commercial break, me please, shout out to Joe T. Baker, jtb3.org. That's the numerical number 3. Check him out, great story. I really want to make sure people realize, as much respectfully, as much as corporations want to be philanthropic and really give back, respectfully, at the same time, the corporations want to benefit. And if it's just really the hearts and minds of people integrally saying, hey, you know what, this brand really cares, then so be it. But I do know some corporations that want to get some form of leads out of it, and that's more of the transactional side, where we're talking about corporate social responsibility and engagement in this case. And so, not to speak for a corporation may say, hey, you know what, this is purely service and charity, and we just want to have the satisfaction of knowing that we're engaged and connecting with our neighbors. That is probably the biggest thing, and the biggest what most corporations are doing. But in the back of their mind, respectfully, for a corporation to maintain and to sustain itself, it has to continue to make sales, has to continue to increase awareness. And so it would be advantageous for a benefit to come out of this engagement opportunity for a corporation just as much as the charity partner. Moving back on to the article. Here are 5 questions we think companies need to ask themselves when embarking on a philanthropy or community engagement program, or when considering how to take their program to the next level. And this is why I wanted to jump into this conversation for all of us marketing professionals or non-marketing professionals that need to take care of this aspect of the business. This is why I wanted to bring this article to our attention. So we're going to talk about 5 questions that sustainable brands and Jennifer thinks companies need to ask themselves when embarking on philanthropy or community engagement program, or when considering how to take their program to the next level. So number 1, should staff do the giving or the company itself? I have my idea, and let's see what it says here. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. One of the first decisions a company will need to make is how the program will be funded. Many companies do not have a budget for charitable giving and rely on staff fundraising to generate donations. Now, I'm a commercial break me here. If this conversation is more about charitable giving, my feedback may not be as relevant. But if we're talking about engagement on a consistent basis, then my feedback may be relevant. So that's a disclaimer as we go on, because right now, charitable giving, I'm going to highlight the words. There's a section that pops up. If you click the link, it'll say it's an article to disaster relief holiday giving, 5 ways optimize corporations, but it's just the link to it there. So if somebody wants to check out the article, please. We're going to move on, but charitable giving and consistent community engagement, respectfully, may be 2 different things, even though they may come from the same branch, if you will. Moving on, companies can see this as an opportunity to give their staff a stronger stake in relationships with their charity partners and to create a sense of camaraderie around fundraising activities. Even organizations that do set aside a budget for community involvement for this reason still choose to engage their staff in fundraising activities. For example, Deutsche Bank UK employees fundraised over £1.8 million, if I'm not speaking out of ignorance, or euros, for its 2 charities of the year in 2014 through a range of appeals, challenges, and social events. Appeals, challenges, and social events, how they were able to raise money. On the other hand, companies that dedicate a portion of their own profits to donate to charity demonstrate a willingness to put their money where their mouth is and may be in a position to make larger contributions. Clothing and household good retailer Next, for example, gives financial support from its own coffers to a wide range of charities of all sizes, believing it can make a greater impact by working with a larger group of organizations. This is doubtless invaluable for charities that need unrestricted funding and perhaps do not have the capacity to provide ongoing account management to a corporate partner. So before we move on, commercial break me, please. Before we move on to number 2, I believe, if you want to give my 2 cents, if a corporation can foot the budget for the charitable giving, let that be the first approach and strategy. If the company if the staff members do need to donate for the cause, that's a second. But when I think of that, I just think of, respectfully, teachers, public school teachers, at the minimum, having to come out their own, respectfully, personal pocket to pay for school supplies for the upcoming school year, because they know that, respectfully, a lot of students will not have the necessary supplies. And so it comes out of their pocket. Respectfully, I'm not sure if teachers are getting paid enough. Respectfully, I don't know. Some people may say no. So let's say if that's the case, and they're already coming out their pocket, for those that are possibly wanting to be a teacher in the future, they're taking a look at that and they're saying, okay, well, that's a con. And so when you're wanting to recruit new talent and create that pipeline, you want to make it as easy and smooth as possible for the talent coming in, and so having a budget already set aside for those type of things, charity or expenses, would be a perk if you're looking to decrease turnover rates. So just my 2 cents, if that relates to number 1. Moving on, number 2. Forgive me. I know I'm not making this bigger. Should staff or the company lead the program? Giving employees a say in the causes their company supports may result in stronger support, engagement, and sense of ownership. At Time Inc. UK, for instance, employees nominate their preferred charity partners at both brand and corporate level with minimal influence from the company's management. Conversely, when the board or management committee selects the cause, they may be in a better position to ensure strategic alignment between the respective goals of the business and the charity and to leverage benefit from the partnerships for both parties. Deciding which outcome is more important is a critical first step in planning any successful program. For companies with multiple sites, it can be hard to decide how much autonomy to give staff or to a company's individual operating location. A board may be keen to keep regional offices and staff engaged and to benefit from their knowledge of local community needs by affording them a measure of authority over how funds or other resources are dispersed in their areas. But this may need to be balanced with ensuring a consistency of approach across all sites and needing to keep track of what is being spent so that the impact can be measured. Thank you all for your patience today with my reading, but it's good practice at the end of the day. Keeps the eyes and the mind sharp. So before we get into number 3, let's go ahead and recap number 2. Should the staff or the company lead the program? What do you think based on what you've read and what you know personally through your experience? Leave that in the comments. I do see here, which caught my attention. Let's see. And also, if I can find it, I can't guarantee, but if I can find the scene in the television show The Office, the United States version, The Office, where the staff was trying to figure out, who they should, donate money to, and Dwight, mentioned a nonprofit organization that was not doing integral community service, if you will. And so you got that was just a good bad joke that made me think of, when you're thinking of who you want to donate the money to, make sure you're doing your research. But obviously we know that it's a bad joke. And also what caught my attention was, I believe here, conversely, when the board or management committee selects a cause, no, where is it? That's not it. Let's see. Here we go. A board may be keen to keep regional offices and staff engaged and to benefit from their knowledge of the local community needs by affording them a measure of authority over how funds or other resources are distributed in their areas. If I understand that correctly, I just believe it's saying that having a selected group of individuals that really know the community needs and are making sure, because you can come in as a company yourself or as staff and come up with all these things, but you're not really connected per se at that time with your local community. And you have all the ideas that you want to do, but you may not provide valuable service because you didn't necessarily feel a need that was in that particular community. So bringing people on to help serve as a guide and advisors of how to best, utilize those funds. If someone, especially from that community or knows that community, would be huge. And so I think that's a really good approach. And again, the staff respectfully are like, hey, look, I'm coming in respectfully to do this job, do it well, try my best to move up the corporate ladder and manage everything in between while maintaining my personal life. I'm not quite sure if I can, take on any community engagement responsibilities. And if that's not discussed, if that's not that the community engagement responsibilities are not discussed during the hiring process, it may catch a lot of your team members off guard. And again, we want to avoid individuals leaving the company because of just miscommunication, if you will. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I want to keep moving on. Let me know what you think about what we've read so far. Number 3, one cause or several. Another decision facing companies that want to make a social impact is how widely to spread their benevolence. Some companies, especially smaller ones, choose to focus their energies on one cause at a time, thus giving greater focus, possibly greater impact, and the opportunity for all staff to unite behind a single cause. Others choose to take on multiple charity partners simultaneously, which carries the benefit of variety and an increased likelihood of appealing to more employees and offering multiple ways for staff to engage. Adidas, for example, has chosen to support a range of organizations around the world that are tackling issues of relevance to the company and are demonstrating sustainable benefits to the communities where Adidas operates. So we're going to commercial break there. Adidas' approach is, hey, we're going to focus on where we operate and connect with organizations that want to tackle issues that are relevant to our company, compared to going into the community and tackling issues relevant to the community, Adidas, because they are global, is saying, hey, we can connect, our the challenges we see and face with those that are already doing the work and make that partnership happen. So there's no right or wrong, and that could be with one cause or several. Again, so leave your thoughts. It's a lot of work that has already been discussed here. Social events, connecting with people, who's doing the work. That's kind of that's going to be that's going to be an interesting team meeting when it's time to do all that. Short term, long term. Moving on. Number 4, short term or long term. The classic charity of the year would be a typical manifestation of a short term partnership, along with the advantage of freshness and little chance of staff growing bored with the cause. The short term time frame may provide greater focus. The charity of the year model has itself come a long way. Although traditionally fundraising focused, many companies now use these year long partnerships as an opportunity to offer more strategic support to a charity on multiple levels on a short term basis. Conversely, while longer term partners may result in fatigue, especially for employees who don't feel a strong affinity with the chosen cause, they do pave the way for deeper relationships, long term planning, and possibly more sustained impact. British Gas, for example, is currently midway through a 5-year partnership with housing charity Shelter, and their ambitious collective goals include raising the profile of housing on the national agenda and transforming the standards of Britain's homes. While there are benefits to both approaches, more and more companies are now showing a preference for building long-term partnerships with a smaller number of organizations, believing this is the route to a deeper, longer lasting impact and the opportunity to build value for the company while doing good for the community. Now, commercial break me, please. It just depends on Mike, to add to what this great insight is, it just depends on, what your goals are and how quickly you want to reach those goals. And based on that, you'll pick the best vehicle or approach or strategy to move. And so I would always recommend the long-term approach and building long-term deep relationships, because that's going to be the most impactful for you as well as your community friend and partner. It may not be as impactful for the staff, but respectfully, the staff has to recognize and realize that we as staff members, even the owners or the top people, are representing a brand, which is bigger than, us as individuals. And so when we're representing a brand, you want to keep that in mind if you are considering this job, this opportunity, because we're working with these type of organizations long term. And so that's a conversation you may want to have, in your HR process as well when you're looking for your talent. Moving on to number 5, should you give money or time? The exact focus of the support a company gives can take many different forms, from straightforward financial donations, mostly commonly to fund specific project, understandable from the company's point of view, but challenging for charities that still need to fund their running costs, to a program of in-kind support. The latter can involve the company's employees volunteering their time to undertake general tasks, for example, providing basic administrative help or stewarding at events, or using their specific skills or expertise for the benefit of the recipient charity, which often contributes to their own professional development. I'm going to take a break real quick, and I'm going to highlight something so I don't forget it. Let's see. I'm going to highlight this real quick before I don't forget it. I think this is it. Moving on. Scandinavia-based Nordea Bank, for example, is one of 4 banks in Finland participating in the Economic Skills Project, through which employees support young people who are neither working nor studying to learn basic financial skills. Employees benefit hugely from the experience, returning to work with greater motivation and better able to understand and relate to their customers. While charities will always need and appreciate financial donations, companies are increasingly looking to build more sophisticated community investment programs that enable their employees to contribute directly, either instead of or in addition to monetary support. Commercial break me, please. it really depends on, again, going into number 5, should you give money or time? A great question. It just depends on, again, your mission, your vehicle. It also depends on your staff. You got to, your staff is respectfully the engine that helps make the organization go, the business go. So you want to keep them motivated and excited to do what needs to be done. And so if the staff over time is not feeling it based on performance, you may want to think about, letting that go. And again, you have to look at, is your staff, willing to take the time to volunteer? Because some staff will say, hey, just give the money. I want to just relax, worst case scenario. And that way, when I relax, I'm able to give you, the best of me. Unless you're saying, well, you know what, we're going to do some community activities, volunteer some time, but throughout the year, we'll have certain work days where we don't work, or it's a half a day because we're volunteering our time outside of traditional business hours or work hours, if you will. So that's something to consider, because either way, when you're making an impact in the community, you want to make sure that you're retaining your staff as well, respectfully. So moving on to the last part of the article, the main thing to get right. Back to the article, there's no one size fits all approach to community engagement. What's important is to find an approach that fits your company's culture and a way of operating. But companies that have clearly considered these 5 questions have measured the impact and developed plans to communicate the results end up making the most difference. Read that last sentence again, please. But the companies that have clearly considered these 5 questions have measured the impact and developed plans to communicate the results end up making the most difference. And that, after all, is the point, regardless of what the chairman's wife thinks. This post, written by Jane Boswell of Junction, was originally published on the Bee Change. Now, let me go back to the top here, because I want to say, forgive me, I want to say by Jennifer Kong, published 6 years ago. I see that there, so I'm going to shout out Jennifer Kong. But respectfully, it says here, this post was written by Jane Boswell of Junction, was originally published on the Bee Change. And so I want to shout out Jane Boswell for this great article. And so tell me what you think. And this is why I feel like, with all these things to think about, it's probably best, and that's why companies outsource the community engagement aspect to me, either as an employee at one point, or to my consulting firm when I transitioned from being an employee to going into self-employed and running and growing a business. Either way, the company transferred that community engagement task and responsibility to me. And I served as either as working as an active staff of the company, or under contract through consulting. I represented, and my firm represented, that brand, if that makes sense. And what that allowed was the staff to do what they did to maintain the operation. And every now and then the staff would be needed, but it was during business hours. What were some of the things that the staff was needed for? Was when those community activities were happening, and that work was outsourced to me as either an employee or a consultant. And I would build relationships in the community and with those charity organizations. Guess what we did? Hey, I invited them back to the corporation's office, in which they would see the operation of the company, meet the staff, meet the team, meet the owners and the top decision makers, take pictures, maybe do Q&A. They may have a gift to take home with them. And that way, the relationship, that's why that long-term relationship is so important, was starting to be built and become deeper, if you will. And so all that was done through a individual or department or consulting firm that handled the community engagement. And it was done strategically, done with skill, done with professionalism. And that's why I wanted to bring this article up today, because there's so much stuff to talk about when it comes to charity, as well as community engagement on a consistent basis. And you don't want to burn your team out. You don't want to bring challenges to the local residents, and you don't want to misrepresent your brand. So what does that look like? And every situation is different. So please let me know what you think about the article. What did we miss out? What, were you able to add to the conversation, either from something that was written in the article or something that I said? Definitely love your feedback. Keep in mind, hey, I'm doing for a limited time one time exclusive, one time only, 20-minute private advising sessions to have conversations possibly like these: community engagement, business development, at the minimum. And so, if you want to take advantage of a free 20-minute conversation with me through a virtual call, we can get what your challenges are, get that sent to me beforehand. I will take a look at the challenges, have my feedback ready to go. We'll have a conversation for 20 minutes. I will send you over my notes that I did research on, um, and or the notes from our conversation that we had when we talked virtually. And even in the notes, I'll include what assignments or next steps will need to be taken. So you can get a idea of the 1 hour sessions that I do and provide for business, community, and government leaders such as yourself. So make sure you visit the website. There's a button there that says, 20-minute advising, free 20-minute advising session. Click that button, sign up, click a date that's available. We'll knock that out. And there's a lot of free content and information on the website. Thank you for donating what you felt this message was worth to you, so that I can continue to take time out to deliver impactful, insightful, and stimulating conversation. And again, the last thing I want to leave you with: you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great, which means, one, be comfortable stepping outside your comfort zone. On my website, I have a free 60-minute webinar on how you can get comfortable stepping outside of your comfort zone so that you can reach and pursue the opportunities that you know you're destined for, and the deadlines and goals you know you want to meet. And I also have a free 30-minute, I think it's a 30-minute, free 30-minute webinar on my website: how to build relationships from scratch for your professional needs. I give you, as if you've never done it before and you're just waking up, getting out the bed, and you want to start building relationships for these reasons or more, this free 35-minute webinar, and I have a free 5-step checklist as well that you'll receive. Will tell you exactly what you need to do to build relationships to the point where you have so many relationships that you have to use a customer relationship management system to manage and follow up with all these people. Because now they're saying, man or gal, I haven't talked to you in a while. And you just, because you have so many relationships. So visit the website, check it out. And if nothing else, I will see you